Welcome back, everyone. As promised, I have a button-focused video today. Before we dive in, just a brief background on the buttons. The process is termed Augmentative Interspecies Communication, or AIC. AIC is adapted from alternative and augmentative communication in human speech pathology, which is used to help nonverbal humans communicate. If you haven't previously heard about the history of button teaching in animals, I highly recommend that you check out Christina Hunger's website and social medias. She is the reason that all of these animals were able to learn buttons and deserves all of our support. She has great how-tos on her website, and that is what I followed initially with Billi when we first started. Another great resource for how-tos is FluentPet. They were influenced also by Christina Hunger, but they have a great community forum on their website with questions and how-tos and good ideas on what you can try with your learner. Since so many great how-tos on the process already exist, this video is mostly just going to focus on Alastor and how he progressed. You'll see the main stages laid out, but just know that they're a guide. It's not a cut and dry, this is exactly how your learner should progress. I'm also going to throw some older footage of Billi in there. With her, I really didn't document the process very well, so it's nice to have a lot of Alastor's initial beginnings on video. Choosing your start buttons is a really important step that you need to iron out before you actually begin. I'm going to direct you in the video description to a really great video of Joelle from Bastion and Bruise talking about the process of choosing words that really resonate with your learner. After you choose your words, you can start modeling, and this can happen even before you actually get the buttons. Modeling is just repetition of the concept. So for play, you would say the word, press the button, and then engage in play with your learner. And sometimes the thing that you want to play with is not the thing that they want to play with. So let's get started with play. The modeling stage is repetitive. That is, in essence, the thing that you can do to maximize your success. Just really make sure that you feel like an idiot for how frequently you are saying and doing this thing with your learner. Play was not the first button that I used with Billi. It was probably 9th or 10th. So when I was modeling for Billi, I was using more words that she had already been exposed to, trying to formulate sentences more so. And you'll see with Alastor, because play was one of his first buttons, I really focus on just saying the word play and then playing. You also want to actively look for the times when your learner is doing the thing that you want that button to be associated with. So whenever I see Alastor soliciting play, I always reinforce that by saying the word play and then pressing the button. Eventually, they're going to form that association between the word and the action.
Billi?
Billi.
Want to play?
Play.
Do you want to play?
Zoom Zoom unintentionally gave me many opportunities to model play because Alastor was so rough with it that he kept knocking the batteries out of the bottom. The majority of this video is going to be modeling because that is the stage that's going to last the longest. There's no set time period for how long it takes for your learner to really start seeking out the board and trying to experiment with it. Billi took about 3.5 weeks to press her first button. Alastor, he was a little bit interesting because he showed interest and did press the button about 2 weeks in, and then we had about 2 more weeks before he did it again. There will be instances of them pressing a button that does not match their body language. So when that happens, you still want to interact with them. You want to reinforce the action. So when Alastor pressed pets, I pet him, but when he started soliciting play, I pressed play to show him which button that actually was. In this video, you can see how badly Alastor wants to play with Zoom Zoom. It's not on, but he is still engaging with it. So I direct his attention over to the button to make sure he's watching when I press that button. And then I turn Zoom Zoom on, except for he had knocked the batteries out, so I had to take a break and do it again. The next stage, which is sometimes an overlapping stage, is accidental interaction.
Yeah, play! Yeah!
Okay. Oh. Like, did you hit play? You didn't mean to hit play, did you?
A good rule of thumb is to treat any accidental interaction as intentional, and so you want to model whatever they press. In this video, Alastor is clearly playing with Zoom Zoom and the buttons are just in the way, but he keeps alternating between pressing pets and play, so I go over to help him associate the difference between the two buttons.
Play.
Next up is the experimental stage. In this stage, they are intentionally pressing the button or trying to press the button, but they're still not quite sure exactly what's supposed to happen when they do. This is a stage that can be really exciting to reinforce because they're actively showing interest. Usually this is the stage when teachers are becoming a little bit more invested in the process because the animals are actively soliciting the button use.
You gotta press the button. No.
They may not press the button every time, but you want to reward that interest. So usually give them a second to see if they are going to depress the button, and if they don't, go back to modeling. This is the point of the video when I try to remind everyone that the point of the buttons is so that your animal has enrichment. So try not to get frustrated if they're not picking it up quite as fast as you think that they should. Any amount of time that you can spend with them, even if you're just at the modeling stage, is still exciting. Alastor was a bit challenging because he only has one eye, so his depth perception is a little bit off. You can see here he's not quite sure when he hit the button with his paw, and a little bit later you're going to see how he manages that. Once the experimenting stage starts, you want to work really hard on solidifying the association. So especially if you're starting with multiple buttons, you can sometimes get a press on the button that is not actually associated with the thing that they were trying to press.
No, it was on purpose. I just don't think he knows which one it is yet. So.
Over Christmas, Alastor was in the stage where he knew that one of these buttons got him a toy, but he wasn't quite sure which one it was.
Play.
Yeah.
Play. Play.
So you can see that the modeling stage doesn't ever really stop. You always want to be utilizing the board. There isn't necessarily a time frame when you are not going to be the one that is pressing buttons. This was an especially funny day because he kept knocking his spring toy under the couch and then coming back and trying to hit a button to get me to give him another one.
Oh, you did it? Okay, yeah. Oh.
Endless Christmas Day entertainment. In this video, Alastor doesn't actually want to play, and you can see that with his body language here. What he wants is interaction. He wants pets, which is his other button right there. So when I realize that his body language is not indicating play, I direct him towards the other button to reinforce that.
Yeah, are we gonna play?
This one definitely falls under accidental interaction, but we're still going to treat it as intentional.
You wanna play in the bag instead?
Yeah, I like that.
Are you sure? You sounded like you got it.
Just running in and out of the bag.
The next stage is going to be intentional presses, and this is when you can tell that your learner has formed the correct association with this button, and this is usually the time period when you're going to start hearing a bunch of requests. This is the stage when you're going to start implementing things like later or all done, because once they form the association, it doesn't automatically mean that they have to get the thing that they ask for every single time. You do want to make sure that you kind of back off slowly so that they don't lose interest in the buttons, but it will be a significant number of requests once they hit this stage. The body language that you'll start seeing when the presses are intentional are associated with what that button is. So since this is Alastor soliciting play each time, you can see he presses the button, he looks around for me, and in some of these later videos, he's actually going to play hide and seek right after he sees me come into the room. You can see that Alastor has morphed into kind of laying down on the button rather than using his paw, and this is something that he started when he was really trying to figure out how to hit the button with his paw. I think he kept missing because, again, that depth perception is a little bit off. So right now I'm trying to decide if that is, I guess, acceptable. I think it will be. My only concern is that when we add more buttons onto the board, he is going to start hitting multiple ones, which you will also see in a later video. For some of his other words, I'm going to try putting them on the wall and see if that helps him to navigate towards the button, and we'll just kind of trial and error play with what exactly works best with his vision. In this video, you can see with his body language, he waits for me to acknowledge him, he hears me coming, and he comes to hide to start playing with me. This video was interesting for me to watch back because I was in another room, so I didn't see the initial interaction between these two before I heard him press play.
Play.
He's been trying to get Foxy to play with him, and she's kind of having it. It's mostly on her terms. But in this case, I didn't know that that was what he was probably requesting, so instead he got to play with me, which I think he was probably fine with. This is called a unicorn tunnel, and it gives me a lot of joy to play with him in it. It also protects my fingers, which I'm a fan of.
All done. All done playing? Play. Yes.
This is another video showing really good play soliciting body language. So he waits for me to respond, he hides behind the unicorn tunnel, and as soon as I'm within range, he's gonna come out at me.
Play. Gimme? Did you give me? Play.
Once you have enough buttons, you will start to see button combinations, which is really exciting.
Water. You wanna play water? Play. Yeah.
Okay. Want to play water? Do you want to go in the bathtub?
His first button combo was play water. He seems to be a very water-loving cat. If any of you follow us on Instagram, you saw that little compilation. So that seems to be a fun one. It was really fun for me to go back through Billi's old footage and kind of compare and contrast the way that they both use the buttons. Billi was very intentional. Alastor is a baby. So I think you can see that difference in their body language and how they approach things. So I hope this was somewhat helpful. Let me know if you guys have any
can play.
questions in the comments, any thoughts on future videos. Always open to suggestions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time.